welcome to my talk series English with Purpose. I'm Mira, or the Mindful English Language Coach, and I empower professionals to find their unique and confident voice in English. The idea of English with Purpose talks was with me for a long time, and I finally am here. The goal is to ignite conversation around the fact that English can be a connector or a tool that can help us express our views and our thoughts and our ideas with the rest of the world. And part of the goal for this talk is that I want to release the pressure of perfection for professionals where English isn't the native language. Ready for an interesting conversation? Follow me. Good. So, everybody, this is the last talk for 2023. I have here with me Savvas from Cyprus. I've been following him for a couple of years now on LinkedIn because he is really great at what he does. And I think this is going to inspire a lot of you since you are dealing with public speaking or events and you feel not yourself when you're exposed to an audience or to other people. But before we start, Savvas, dear Savvas, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to your show. I watch it and you are doing a tremendous job. Very valuable pieces of information and your videos and your post in LinkedIn. So you follow me, but I follow you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for your value. I'm an expert on communication. My PhD studies was on body language and leadership. So after finishing my studies, I embraced everything that has to do with communication, and here we are today. As I understand, you do a lot of stuff with language and how do you use it to communicate. And we're going to be talking here today about body language and about public speaking.
Yes, and all the little secrets or tips you can tell us about that. I want to start with a quote because I really like quotes, and you nailed it with one. This is by Mark Twain. You said there are two types of speakers, those who get nervous and those who are liars. And now, which one are you? And why do we feel like that when it's time to, get on stage or do even this? People want to do videos for the business and they feel really, nervous.
Okay, I'm obviously the one who is nervous. So at the beginning of each public speaker's career or the first step, the nervousness gets the better of you. And why? It's because it's high stakes. When you get into speaking public, it's never unofficial. So you either speaking in a conference or in a business meeting. There are superiors watching or friends that you feel worried that they will be judging you. So this is it. You get nervous. When you do it as you do it, you get better at it. And you learn to interpret all these nervousness signs as excitement. And there are a few tricks that I use to calm those butterflies in my stomach. One of them is focusing on the positive spaces in the audience. So if I know Vera's in the audiences and she smiles and nods positively, I lock eyes with Vera and I get all that positive energy.
Now, recently, my previous guest was Patricia, and she had her TED Talk. And for her, the two takeaways was, one, prep well, really do your preparation, your practice. And then the other one was to be yourself. And there was a kind of a conflict. How can you really be yourself, authentic, but also remember a script or remember your words, as she said? How can I, let loose and let Patricia shine?
Letting loose. Being yourself is, again, it's a very tricky concept because you are up there and obviously there are a lot of things in your head. So you cannot completely be yourself, but there are things you can do to play the mind game of being yourself. One of them is direct conversations into things that you're passionate about. So as I always say, body language starts from the inside out. So If you want your body to cooperate with your mind, start from the inside. If you are passionate about martial arts, bring a subject from martial arts in the conversation, and you will see your body changing, and your eyes will open up just a little bit more, and you will get that energy and that vibe from your own passionate self.
I feel sometimes people, when they get on stage or they have a really important, talk, their face is a little bit stiff, or their body. Sometimes you can feel that the mouth gets dry, or they feel nervous, their breathing changes. And because I'm into mindfulness and I combine it with my work, I always emphasize the breath is important. And I know you do too. So if we could give some tips on public speaking or important meetings with others, and it's about, starting your speech, breath, or other things, how would you advise those who are watching?
Yeah, okay. About starting the speech, first thing I see, especially from inexperienced speakers, is they go in there and they start, hello, my name is Savvas Trichas. I'm going to be talking about this, and that. I have my studies on this, and that. And that's the very first seconds of their communication being lost. It's like throwing those seconds in the bin.
And it's also very typical, this intro, who I am, what I do, my title, but it could be more, unique.
Exactly, which, by the way, they already have that information. They probably have a leaflet in front of them explaining who you are. So don't spend those valuable seconds in reintroducing yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, when you go in there, you need to go there strong. Start with the hook, a personal story, or you know what a hook is? Hook
I do, but our
yeah.
maybe audience doesn't. So a hook.
Of course, let me give you a hook. Now imagine a full stage above, and I go in there and I tell, instead of saying my name, I say that exact line. So my therapist told me the other day that every relationship is under the control of the person who cares the least. And guess what I said?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to hear the next sentence?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hooked.
It's a hook, right? And there is also this concept relevant to the hook, which is called the cliffhangers. Cliffhangers is a Hollywood expression. You know, when you're watching Breaking Bad and the protagonist is hanging from a cliff and the episode ends and it says you have to see the next episode to see what's happening. This is called a cliffhanger. So you leave them with something that is missing. So again, I get on. Yeah, again, I get on stage and I say it was a beautiful sunny morning like the one here. And when I woke up, I had no idea that I was going to spend the rest of my day in a hospital under intensive care. Do you want to hear the next sentence? Absolutely. Of course, cliffhanger. But the greatest power, in my opinion, for a speaker is storytelling. So stories can make us feel and see things, and stories can make us connect with our audiences. So imagine, for example, if I have to talk about professionalism and how important it is to keep professionalism above everything. Instead of saying again, hi, my name is Savvas Trichas, I'm going to talk about professionalism, and professionalism is so important in our days. Imagine this, empty stage, I go there, I have a long pause, and then I say, there was this beautiful girl in my university, and she was studying medicine. She was the most beautiful girl in the university, and she was giving her exams. They were written exams and verbal exams. And in the verbal exams, she went in there and the professor asked her, which is the body part in our body that can reach up to 3 times the original size when erected? And the girl answers, the way I was raised cannot allow me to answer that question. She was furious. And then the professor the professor says, my dear lady, you failed the lesson for 2 reasons. The first is because you put your your family raising above your professionalism.
Morals, right?
And the second is because we didn't know the answer. The answer is the eye pupil. So the eye pupil gets erected and gets 3 times correct. So that is a fun way to explain something that could be very, very dry and dull.
Yeah, you don't want to lose your audience. You don't want to make them fall asleep. You don't want them to look at their mobile phones. Imagine you talking and everybody's doing something else. It's disheartening. Yeah.
And if you allow me, Vera,
of course.
I have one more. This is a more advanced, but I wanted to talk about it because if anyone is interested in connecting, truly connecting with audiences.
I am, definitely.
To you as a speaker, as a connector, is to plug in as a radiologist. So you know radiologists, right?
Of course,
you know
X-rays.
What they do is that they read CT scans and they find things. So if I break my hand, I'm gonna go to the radiologist and find if I have something wrong. So really good radiologists, when they read the scan, they don't just read the problem, they see everything. And it's called incidental findings. So if I go with a broken bone and they find a tumor right next to it, that means they saved my life, right? They saved my life. So this is called an incidental finding. So there was this guy called Jonathan Turner, which did a research. They gave radiologists CT scans to read with the picture of the patient next to it. And after 3 months, he gave the same radiologist the same patients to read their scans without the picture. With the picture, they have all the incidental findings. Without the picture, they had 80% less incidental findings.
What does that tell us?
Yeah, the photo did not increase the skills of the radiologist, but it humanized the process and made them more sharper, more relevant, and more suitable. So what I do is try to be the radiologist with the picture. I try to understand which is my audience. Who am I talking to? How can I bring the value? So when I meet the persons, when I meet the organizers, when I meet the people behind the organization and find ways to connect and understand what they really want, that's when the talk is going to go all right. That's when the seminar is going to go into fireworks, because I will plug in like a radiologist.
This is amazing, because you really connect. And recently I thought, and I wrote about it, to be authentic and to really connect. Above all, it's not about the title. If you enter the room and you know it's the CEO and the CFO, behind the title there's always a person.
Exactly.
And people get intimidated because, oh, I'm just a manager, or I'm just an employee, and he is my God. And I say, well, connect to him as a person. It's important.
Exactly.
What about authenticity? Because it's one of the things that I really focus. So if you can be a radiologist, you can connect, and at the same time you're allowed to be yourself. Are there any other things you maybe apply to really be Savvas that moment?
To really be, we talked about passion.
Yeah.
Obviously, passion is one of the things. And the other thing is that to try to act as more as you can to your real self. I have a friend which is a psychologist, and he told me that our self is like a rubber band,
Very elastic, yeah.
Very elastic. So this is our true self, and this is the identity I need to reach. Every time we go far from ourselves, the rubber stretches. And if we try to go far, the tension is even more. And when we try to go really, really far from who we really are, it might do what?
Break.
It might break, of course. And when you break and when you snap, nothing good can happen when you snap. What I always try to say is, be yourself. Everybody else is taken, right?
Mm,
You cannot out Simon Sinek.
yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, I know, Simon. The argument I get most of the time is that if I am myself, then I lose face as a professional. I make a mistake, or if I say something that is not accurate. And I really would like to know what you think about that.
Can you repeat? I didn't.
Yeah, of course. This is the issue of if you be yourself, totally yourself, then you're allowed to make mistakes. You're not perfect. And that is something they're afraid of because they losing face as professionals. So a professional should be like, correct, perfect, accurate. And me, I'm not always all the time.
Yes. Don't get me going about perfection.
This is my topic. I am an advocate for anti-perfectionism.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We are going to talk about that another time.
Yes.
But how do you how do you make up for being imperfect sometimes on stage because people see you? Do you embrace the moment and you move on, or you tell, next time, this goes on my to-do list?
Yeah, being imperfect. I will tell you about the time I fall from the stage. I mean, yeah, well, there was this big podium, and I was going steps back, and I suddenly disappeared in front of hundreds of people.
Wow.
I disappeared from stage. I fell. We all had a good laugh, but there are two things you can do after that. First is embracing what just happened and being vulnerable and joke about it and laugh about it and let people laugh about it. And the second is hide under the, like an ostrich effect, hide and be embarrassed.
Disappear.
Disappear and ruin everything. I always tell these stories about an MMA fighter. She was fighting and she pooped on her as she was fighting, because when you get all these hits, everything loosens up, and it's something that may happen in rare occasions, but it may happen. And it happened to her.
And it's not nice.
It's not nice. And after she finished, the reporter came and told her, "How do you feel that you pooped in front of millions of people?" And her reply was, "Shit happens." Shit, yeah, exactly like this. And her reply made her a hero. All the media, instead of booing her, we went, way to go. What a reply. She went from a zero to hero in 2 words.
That's amazing. As you know, I am a language coach, English language coach for professionals. And to me, the way I coach them is do not memorize vocabulary, learn the words that identify with your work and also that you enjoy using. But without body language, any message can be, not powerful. So what about posture, voice, to increase the impact of what you're saying, whether you're on stage or with another person one-to-one and have a difficult or challenging conversation?
Okay, we could talk all day about body language with my
All
PhD,
day.
but I have 5 things for you today, which are going to go really fast on them to increase impact. Okay?
Yeah.
First is keep your chin up. Anything you do, your chin should be up, at least here. If you go like this, every time you go like this, your perceived confidence drops. Second, don't shrink. Don't shrink your body. Every time we shrink, we signal our brain to increase cortisol, which is the stress hormone.
Right.
Open up. Research shows that we increase our testosterone, which is the dominance hormone, and we decrease the cortisol, the stress hormone. Open up.
Take space. Take up space, right?
Take up space. The third, plant your feet, especially if you're on a stage. The first thing inexperienced speakers do was jumping from one leg to another. Plant your feet, wide stance, and this will stop the movement and make you seem more confident. Palms up. in the influence zone. Your hands need to be underneath your chin, above your chest. Why? Because it's the perfect place not to cover the mouth and not getting lost. And try to be palms up. You seem more friendly, research-based. And finally, last but not least, eye contact. Every time you will move your eyes down because you are reading something, you will lose. It's like cutting the wire between you and your audience. I mean, I can't emphasize enough how mad I am when I see people reading their stuff when they have to talk about something. Do you know the story with Martin Luther King?
No.
The famous I Have a Dream speech was not in the script, was not written. At the beginning of the speech, he was looking down on his notes, but there was something missing. There was not connectivity. Nothing was
exactly. He didn't feel authentic.
Yep. And halfway through, the gospel singer Mahalia Jackson shouts out, "Tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream." And then he pauses and he looks up, 250,000 people in the crowd. And he says, "I have a dream, blah, blah, blah. I have a dream that my little children, my 4 little children, one day they will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And the rest was history. Eye contact is a perfect tool for the speaker.
Yeah, right. How about PowerPoint slides behind you while you're having a speech? Do they make sense to you? To me, they don't. It's like an old-fashioned way of presenting information or takeaways.
PowerPoints will be helpful, and as long as they help you emphasize your point. I mean, they should not be used as crutches.
Yes.
If I do this every 2 seconds to read from the PowerPoint, it's basically damaging my performance. PowerPoints are good if they empower your point. So I always use now basically pictures to help me.
Yes.
To help like highlighting my point, or 2 or 3 words each PowerPoint. Big words. So it can be used as emphasizing, not as the speech per se.
Exactly. Now, I want to take you back to the first time that you went on stage and you appeared in front of the public, and what happened and what lessons did you learn when you got off stage? Were you hooked to do it again, or you said, "Oh God, no"?
Yeah, that was not a great experience, but it has a lesson inside. It had a lesson inside, so it will be nice to share. Now, the first time I got on stage, it was awful. I mean, it was great in my head. It was awesome in my head. I will do this, and that, and it was great in the shower. Yeah, rock the world. But then I get there, and all these things were popping in my head. All these thoughts were popping in my head. Why is the door open, and why are they playing with their iPhones? And I forgot that important piece of information. Now I have to get into it. I was not actually prepared. I was not actually prepared. And I was really frustrated. And then my mentor at that time, he told me how Houdini died. Do you know Houdini?
Of course, the great magician.
Yeah. So one of Houdini's acts was like, he would take the strongest man in the audience, and he would put him to punch him as hard as he could in the stomach. And many people didn't know that Houdini was an amateur boxer. So he knew how to stand well and flex his solar plex and breathe at the time of the punch so he could absorb the damage. But one night, Houdini, after his show, invited some of his students to chill after the show. And one of the students, without warning them, he started punching him in the stomach so hard that Houdini felt sick. He was in a lot of pain, and his appendix was ruptured because of the punch, because he wasn't able to prepare. to flex his solar plexus, to stand well, to breathe well. And then Houdini died. He escaped chains. He escaped drowning. He escaped heavier punches by stronger men. But with a few jabs from a student, he died. Why?
Unexpected.
Because he didn't see them coming.
Yeah.
That's the biggest risk, what you didn't anticipate. So now I go there half an hour, 1 hour before. I check everything. I check my PowerPoints if there are any. I check the sound. I wear my clothes on stage to see if there is something uncomfortable. I mic'd up. I try to anticipate everything.
My last question is, when you speak, because I noticed you do it in Greek, which is your native language, and also you do also speeches in English. Does the language affect you internally in the way you are going to, be on stage?
Yes, it does. So obviously I perform even better in my native language. There is more fluidity and there is even less lag, temporal lag. As the same speech in English will take me longer than the same speech in Greek because there is this minor gap in every little word and sentence that will make me a bit slower than I'm talking in English. So how do I correct that? So how do I deal with that? I rehearse a lot. So when I have something in English, I will rehearse it again and again and again. So I will get the fluidity going on. I will correct some of the pronunciation I have in my head. And I will try to make it as good in my head as possible.
And sound natural and yourself again. That's what I tell to everybody. You don't need to sound like the king or the queen of England. Sound like Savvas, sound like Jacob, and make your point clear. This is my work, right? Message, the words we use. Because you can be on stage, as you said, have the perfect body, posture, your voice, and then you have this script in your head in English because you are Korean, you are, whatever. And then, what happens here? And this is what I do, mindfulness. This is the preparation you do. Connect with your body, with your breath. And I have this love memo technique, which is go to the bathroom or somewhere that you can be alone and ask yourself these 3 questions. What takeaways do I want to give to these people? Who are these people? And what am I going to, why am I there today? And then you can go out and do your thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I let them even record it and listen to their own voice before going on stage, because you are an expert in public speaking, but with my experience, people hate the voice. They don't want to listen to how they sound, but that's key.
And I think that I've heard from another creator, you might know her, Nina Kalutza.
No.
He told that it's a voice expert. So what she heard, she told in one of her videos was that when you talk, you hear your voice not as others hear it.
Exactly.
But only you can hear the sound of your voice like this because it goes like this. Okay, so when you hear your voice through a recorder, you actually hear what others hear. And most of the time you hate what others hear.
You never like it.
Yeah.
But this is about practice and getting used to that. As you said, practice. I think we could go on forever. Thank you for your time. And guys, I hope you take all these tips and whatever we shared with Savvas today and apply it. And if you have issues with public speaking, please get in touch with him. He is amazing. Thank you, Savvas.
Thank you so much, Vera, for the invitation. I enjoyed the conversation so much, and keep spreading the value.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.